Today's video sponsor is brought to you by this clock. This clock right here. Notice anything familiar about this clock? It's the Doomsday Clock from DC Comics and Watchmen. But you're probably wondering, where's the Superman logo? And why is NXT on there? Well, it's because the clock is definitely ticking for NXT's ultimate end. So, yeah, they were way too early to count the NXT TakeOver The End, because for the last 48 hours, 72 hours, 72 hours, got it right. There has been a lot of things going on in WWE, it seems. From reports from Sapp and reports from Dave Meltzer, so take the latter with a grain of salt. But Sapp broke the story on Twitter saying that releases of WWE were going on, except there's just one major problem. We were all busy having fun and talking. I was with my buddies on Zoom. We were talking about SmackDown and what was going on. And we were just chatting about wrestling and what we love, ATW for life and whatnot, when Noah goes ahead and shares a post from Sapp on Twitter where he says that WWE releases are incoming. And I was like, oh, like, oh, god damn it. Like, Nick Khan, what have you done? But here's the thing. None of us expected these releases to happen in the middle of the freaking show. Yeah, WWE, in their infinite wisdom, thought, hey, let's announce that we're going to fire these people during the middle of SmackDown Live. And not even make an article about it. So, yeah. WWE had fired 12 people. Who were these people that were fired, that were let go by the callous machine that is Nick Khan? So, during all this, WWE had sacked a lot of NXT wrestlers. This was all NXT wrestlers. And probably one was a main event guy on main event. So yeah, we were keeping track, looking at in real time what was going to be revealed. Giant Zangier was fired, Asha Hale was fired, Zachary Smith was fired, Tyler Russ was fired, who was part of Diamond Mine, so they just got that faction started and they've already cut the legs off for a little bit. Steven Smith. Then this one was a little interesting. They announced that Leon Ruff would be removed from WWE. He won the NXT North American Championship last year in a obvious WCW move in order to counteract AEW, which failed miserably. I'll get back to that. Kono Reeves, I honestly forgot that was there. He was there. Like, they hyped him up and then he was like, okay, we don't know what to do with him. Aaron Sterling, who was on 205 Live, Jake Atlas, and the last three were the ones that everyone was shocked about. I mean, like, it was already problematic enough that they got rid of Leon Ruff and Tyler Russ, who were in factions in big storylines. They fired Merecedes Martinez. You know, the 75-minute Iron Woman. They fired Bronson Reed, who was NXT North American Champion a month ago. And then this one was the shocking one of all. They fired Bobby Fish. And I mean that Bobby Fish. The one that Matt Riddle made a meme out of. The one that was in Undisputed Era. Yeah, he's fired. Yeah, we're really going there. So, yeah, you see this clock here? There's more to this story. So, everyone was thinking, and this was freaking during SmackDown. And then you remember, oh, wait, wasn't Adam Cole talking with Vince around this time? And it's like, oh, God. Like, Adam Cole's contract situation is coming up soon. And he was only going to be around to put over Kyle O'Reilly. Well, I guess we could call that off now. Now we don't get a payoff. And they just started a storyline, I think, with Bobby Fish and Roderick Strong. You know, finally resolving the Undisputed Era debacle. Because it never really got a fatal 4-way match like it should have gotten. But now it's... How did we get to this? Tell me how we got to this. So, we all went on Twitter, tweeted our displeasure, and we already had a week filled with displeasures when AEW aired something on Dark because Tony Khan didn't pay attention, which is a lot of things wrong with that, and now he's taking over the editing duties over there, so props to him addressing that. Still kind of wish someone could have told him, hey, Tony, there was a rap made during Dark tapings. We probably shouldn't air this. Yeah, that was a black eye in AEW. I'm just hoping that Tony Khan's taking more responsibility in the company with the editing process, but still, it's like, who was in charge of Dark that night then? Like, he's at the Dynamite tapings and whatnot, but anyways, we're back to NXT. So, yeah. 12 people. 12 people are out of a job. However, there are some good news on this. Well, just one good news. These were all NXT-based people, so they only get a no-compete clause of 30 days. 30 days or your money back. Just kidding. You're not getting your money back. So, yeah. Yeah, so Martinez is signed. She was supposed to be part of Retribution, then left, then returned to NXT. And Ruff, Sterling, Hale, and Atlas had all been regulars on 205 Live. Fish was obviously a founding member of the Undisputed Era. So Bronson Reed was the guy who just recently won the freaking NXT North American champion from May to June, which is already problematic enough that it lasted for only a month because that's not usually NXT's thing back in the day. And so we're in this little weird thing. So afterwards, Sean Ross Sapp went on Fightful selecting them. I went ahead and had an investigation into this, and now apparently the plan regarding, so remember that vision Triple H had back in 2018 where WWE was going to set up NXT development places all around the world, and then the pandemic hit and the UK got delayed, and the NXT UK got delayed for a year than planned. Then they couldn't get really anything for Japan because no one was willing to sell, and any attempts to buy ended up going to New Japan Pro Wrestling. So yeah, there were plans to start a NXT Japan and NXT India, which would have added more to the championship crisis we're dealing with. And WWE's also, talent hoarding to keep everyone else from having talent, because that was a great... Yeah. The officials stated that in 2018, WWE entered a talent session mode with what he and others believe were honest intentions. No. You were hoarding talent so you can shut down the rest of the wrestling industry and establish satellites. Like, you crippled the UK scene. I'm like, if already was bad enough there, then speaking out crippled it more, and I'm trying to wonder what's going to happen in the aftermath of the pandemic. Once, hopefully, everything goes back to some stable normalization. I'm like, we can't say everything will go back to the way it was, because that's never going to happen, and at the rate this is going, we might be here a little bit longer with this. But enough of my nihilistic despair. Yeah, the decision has ultimately changed everything, and Nick Khan got involved in WWE, and that's when the firing started. So, whoop-dee! And also, remember how I was mentioning how there was no honest intentions? They tried to hire Joey Ryan. What are the honest intentions there? Like, Joey Ryan doesn't have much of a future nowadays after what came out about him. And I would like to also stress what was special about him besides what he did with his special area for men. Like, what he did at All In was hilarious, but really that's only because he had a gimmick. Besides that, what else was special? Like, I didn't think him as this big main event star player. I didn't think he would make it in NXT even. They couldn't really use his little flip maneuver because, well, that's too violently graphic and sexually charged. So, yeah. They realized, oh, we're stupid for that, aren't we? The fact that they went that far to try and hoard as much talent as possible, that they were trying to get the guy who was only really over because of his little flip, and then when Speaking Out came out, that his career was permanently ruined, to the point that Tony Khan pulled his AEW talent out of a show they were going to do about women, for women, because Joey Ryan was booked for that show, considering what came out about him. Despite that, so... Eesh. Moving on from that horrendous news to stupid news. So yeah, WWE started changing their philosophy. So it's like, that's where it ends, right? Well, Wrestling Observer newsletter and Mike Johnson of PW Insider noted that NXT... Okay, this is where PW Insider started this out, saying there have been a lot of talks internally of a major change in the NXT brand, including a new logo, new lighting, focus on younger talent, and a different format for the shows. This house cleaning appears to be part of those changes, because that makes sense. Like, okay, fine, Merecedes Martinez, if she wanted to just not wrestle anymore and just be a coach, which many people assume was her fallback plan, that she only signed with WWE so she could get a comfort job, essentially, after she leaves wrestling, because she's 40 years old, she was in her 40s. So, yeah, I was like, but we just got a reboot, a soft reboot, so to speak, with the new logo and aesthetics in the Capitol Wrestling Center, which was more about because the pandemic happened. We kind of left Full Sail because of the pandemic. And then Dave Meltzer went on Sunday morning. I was up for this. Now, this is the part where you take it with a grain of salt because it's Dave Meltzer, so give it that what you will. Dave Meltzer stated that NXT, having long since lost the Wednesday Night War, appears to be heading back to its earlier format of strictly being a, quote, developmental program, what Meltzer calls the Curse Axel era of NXT. Meltzer reports that the aim for NXT is to go back to developing bigger and younger wrestlers with far less emphasis on top-tier match quality, where they tend to out-indie the indies. Meltzer quotes the source as saying that the direction is the line of no more midgets, no one starting in their 30s. They want people that can be box office attractions and main characters. He does note that Adam Cole, should he be signed, would be an exception to those parameters. And also that the firings were the call of Vince McMahon with influence from Bruce Pritchard and John Laurinaitis, and I'm pretty sure Nick Khan made the call as well, but that's not added. Neither Paul Levesque, aka Triple H, and Shawn Michaels Higginbottom had any say on them. So, yeah, what you just essentially said is Triple H you're a bunch of losers. I don't like any of you anymore. You lost. You couldn't kill that company that I hate with fiery passion. So I'm going to burn everything to the ground. So, yeah. We're going with that philosophy. And here's the thing. So the saying of no more midgets and whatnot, it's like, and no one's starting in their 30s, it's like, you realize Batista, one of your big stars, was starting wrestling in his 30s? You signed him when he was 30? Or late 20s at best? But we're not going to count that, are we? We're just going to forget that. So, no more midgets, huh? Okay. Then cancel 205 Live. Cancel that. Like, there's like, what, 5 people left on that brand? And half of it are commentators and general manager? Am I telling you not having a manager anymore? Is Drake Maverick still the GM, or has he just been forgotten about? Whatever. Anyways, so, yeah, the Curtis Axel era. Yeah, I don't know what they mean by that. Like, because wasn't Michael McGillicuddy, that the original name for Curtis Axel was him during the game show NXT days? Which I am still on the opinion that had a huge detriment to NXT being a mainstream product, because when casual audience hear NXT, they're probably thinking, ZOMG, that game show's back? We can't have that. So, yeah, I still think that was one of the reasons why NXT fell apart. So, yeah, yeah, it was just... It's just bad all around on this. Like, everything, all the stuff that Triple H was building, all the stuff he had envisioned for his future, is nothing now. It means nothing. All that work flushed down the toilet. And it's been said, according to Dave Meltzer at least, so take it what you will, that NXT's takeover event will be Triple H's last run as the head of NXT's programming. So, yeah. And that's, and like, the writing was on the wall for a lot of people. Karrion Kross's treatment when he was called up. I refuse to call it that, but like, yeah. And then, and it's like, and then Dave Meltzer, and I was like, please tell me this is a joke, where Dave Meltzer said that the NXT UK wrestlers are getting the US equivalent of $22,000 a year. I'm saying the US equivalent because some people got confused with the British pound, saying they're being paid 22 British pounds. And I'm thinking, I think he meant by the equivalent of US dollars, that makes the money, whatever. But like, I mean, they have to fire several other people after this. I get the feeling they're going to fire some people after this. Like, Tommaso Ciampa said for years, I'm not going to get called up. I want to stay in NXT. Johnny Gargano, I want to stay in NXT. Adam Cole stayed in NXT. Like, now they're being told we can't have you guys anymore. Well, they don't want to get called up. Adam Cole is like all for getting called up, I think. But Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa, I don't think they're going to stick around all that long. I think the clock's ticking for them too. I think after TakeOver, that's it. The way's done. The way's done. Timmy Thatcher and Ciampa are gone. Like, you have to let them go because they don't want to get called up. Because they know what's awaiting them there. In NXT, they had something going on for them. They had their own progressive plots. They had their own identity. They owned what they did. They didn't have someone else write a script and throw it at them saying, read this and go out there and recite what we garbagely produce. Like, do you really think Vince is going to have something called The Fight Pit on a Monday Night Raw, on a SmackDown? No. And this also raises the question, if they're going back to being a developmental place, which is internally what WWE still looked at NXT as, and this is a problem that I had with, Like, so you spent the last several years building NXT up, pushing them, planning to make them a worldwide globalization effort to cripple the rest of the industry so you remain on top, and you're still looking at them, at the talent, as a bunch of development talent, not a third brand. That's a problem, because you are telling fans that these are inferior people. We don't like them, and you shouldn't like them. So why should we like them? Because Vince doesn't care. He doesn't even watch the freaking shows anymore. At best, he watched Nakamura and Sammy, which was there is photographic evidence of that on the web. But besides that, I don't think he watches it anymore. I think he stopped out of a sense of ZOMG. This product's better than mine. I can't have that. Like, it's like this. We were in this constant cycle. We watch NXT, we love it. We watch takeovers, we praise the living hell out of it. Then we despair over the fact that they're going to get called up and ruined. Then rinse and repeat. Then everything changed when AEW shows up. And then it went from being AEW's awesome, NXT's losing its identity, because not only are they told go to 2 hours, they're also told, oh, we need more takeovers. Oh, we need more special super episodes, which is a problem, because why can't you just make the super special episodes the takeovers? Like, the biggest example being the Super Tuesday event, where the Fatal 4-Way Iron Man match happened, and you're like, that should have been a takeover match. And that should have had a definitive finish. You can't just end it like that. So, yeah. Like, they should have waited a little bit longer to do that match. Do it a month. Build it up for a month. Have a program. You could give away a pay-per-view main event with DIY reuniting to take on Adam Cole and... What was the fourth guy? And Finn Balor. Yeah, Finn Balor. You could have had that happen, and that would have been an interesting route. They didn't do that. So, yeah. And Finn Balor had said that he would love to have one more run in NXT, a third run. Samoa Joe reportedly said in an interview, I'm looking for the next future star in NXT. And it's like, well, that ultimately meant nothing. Vince just said, screw all of you. So, does that mean Samoa Joe's gonna get fired again? Because Samoa Joe's like in his 40s as well, and here's the thing: when people would be like, and people I understand would say, well, why can't NXT just go back to being what it was? Well, it can't do that. One is it would be on Peacock, and that already sucks as a service. To the point that WWE even admitted that it sucked as a service when Peacock and NBC Universal admitted that yes. That reports came out that, yes, we know it sucks, so we're going to use the international servers for WWE Network and use it to fix Money in the Bank, instead of actually fixing the goddamn servers in the US, which is very telling of indictments on that front. And then it's like, you add that, and they no longer go to Full Sail due to the pandemic, so they lost that identity. The Capital Wrestling Center was somewhat okay, but artificially constructed to some people. They kept having pandemic breakouts because Performance Center was literally a hot spot for every single 2 months, and WWE clearly didn't care. And like I think AEW had one major outbreak and that was it. And for the rest of the time, WWE had 4 outbreaks happening in 2 months. But yeah, that's the thing. Why NXT is suddenly getting all this sudden weird treatment? Because they couldn't kill an AEW. They can't kill it. They tried, they failed, and Vince no longer cared. But there's another problem why this ultimately didn't work. Why should we have cared about NXT for the casual viewers? Like me and many other hardcore fans cared about NXT, but why should the casual fans cared? Like, all throughout NXT's run as Triple H's show was being spent being bashed a lot. Like, I think 2019, even when they were being put on USA, I remember Michael Cole calling NXT, quote, the little engine that could. And it's like, this is the thing you want to fight AEW with. A product that you're saying is inferior, that casual fans could be easily swayed into thinking, oh, that's an inferior product. Okay. And just change the channel. Oh, and go to the other place. Like, do they not get this? Like they could have committed to marketing. They could have just swallowed their pride and made it a third brand, treated it as an equal, just under Triple H's control. But Vince wouldn't have that. He wants his cake and eats it too. And this is the other thing I have, the whole, they can't be too old and they can't be too small. Okay. This is not the 1980s or the 90s. This is not even the early 2000s. This is 2020s. Despite the decade so far being sucks, this is a completely different world now for wrestling. It can't go back to those old days. It will not go back to those old days, despite Undertaker's comments. And I use that as a joke, a very poor attempted joke, but I'm still saying that that's still a bad comment when you remember that Bruiser Brody was killed and several other wrestlers were almost viciously killed or horribly mutilated. Or the continuing crimes of New Jack and what he did in wrestling. But that's a different matter. Yeah, I know I'm veering off to different territories here, but like this is just relating to the whole problem here. And also, if you're saying that they can't be too old, we want young people. Yeah, there's just one other big problem with that comment. Why should we care? And not in the whole marketing kind of scheme. It's more like a, why should we care if you keep changing its identity? Why should we care? And one more thing that makes this whole young initiative fail ultimately right out the gate. And this is important. Vince McMahon, Bruce Pritchard, Kevin Dunn, John Laurinaitis, and a bunch of other yes men. All from the frickin' 90s. Triple H at least wanted to change with the times. But all these other guys, they're not young. They're not at that age to keep going. Like, no one will tell Vince what he needs to hear. He wants to be told what he wants to hear. They can't push these people because they won't, like, you've heard the common complaint. Fans have heard that common complaint. NXT, like WWE, has the best roster ever. Like, I hear this common complaint all the time. WWE has the greatest roster since the Attitude Era, since the Ruthless Aggression Era, and could even surpass the Golden Age era, and surpass all these rosters to be one of the greatest rosters of all time. What's the one common complaint they have with it? The creative sucks. The management sucks. That's the unfortunate reality. If Vince really wanted to commit to this idea, then he has to stop. His idea ultimately is going to fall flat. If he wants to focus on younger people, then put younger people in charge, or put people who are willing to change. Put people who are willing to change their creative positions. They almost did once upon a time with Jimmy Jacobs, but that never will happen again, because how dare he have friends outside of wrestling? We can't have that. He took a photo with them. It's not like he gave away company secrets. He took a photo with them. The bastard. So, yeah, we're ultimately in a no-win situation for NXT. We're in a no-win situation for WWE management. We're in a no-win situation for Raw. We're in a no-win situation for SmackDown. Everyone loses in this. This is not even Game of Thrones WWE. That would have been at least interesting. It just had a terrible payoff. No. That's AEW's kind of shit. Where they have great build-up and have sometimes disappointing payoffs. Okay. I had to make that joke. I'm terrible. But yeah, you want to know what this is? You want to know what this is? This is Marvel Comics' Ultimate Universe Ultimatum. For those who haven't read, that's the event comic that was a bleak, depressing, had some good moments in it, but ultimately bleak, depressing, death-filled gore fest with cannibalism involved. And considering Dexter Lumis is supposed to be portrayed as a serial killer, I think, yeah, that kind of not really far from the thing. But anyways, but that's basically what this is. This is Ultimatum. This is WWE becoming Ultimatum for Marvel's comics, where they make bleak, depressing stuff. There's no grandiose payoff. It's just everything's miserable. Everything sucks, and we're not going to win in this. And even when we win, it ends in disaster afterwards. So yeah, I'm pretty certain Gargano's gone, Ciampa's gone, because they have made their intentions clear. They don't want to go Raw or SmackDown. They want to stay in NXT. Well, they can't stay here because all that hard work ultimately is non-canon now, because they'll probably retcon it. They'll retcon all that hard work. It was already bad enough that WWE retcons their call-ups. They say, oh, these guys hung around the NXT. Yeah, that's about it. We could go deeper into that, but that's about it. I mean, like, people on Twitter and people on journalist sites have been noting that WWE even's been retconning Charlotte's title reign. She went from being, 13-time women's champ, including tag belts, to being an 8-time women's champ? It's like, wait, what? So we're just retconning her time as Divas champion? Although everyone hates the Divas title, but still. It's still there. It still happened. They're now retconning her NXT run out of existence because it's NXT. We hate that. And I have NXT in my background here. So why should I keep watching? Why should I still watch this? Because of Roman Reigns? Vince probably doesn't even remember he was in NXT, or else he probably would have a different opinion. Seth Rollins? Okay, sure, he's doing the stuff with Edge, but what's next? Are they going to turn him face and have him fight Roman? Only for Roman to beat him? And plus, I have no idea what to do with Seth Rollins as an anomaly, because I can't take him seriously as a face, because even after 2 years, he still doesn't seem to get why fans turned on him. And I'm still baffled that he never figured it out, even though it was literally told to him like every single freaking time. Why else should I watch? Sasha Banks? She's Hollywood bound, I think. I think she's one of the few remaining. I think she and Roman are Hollywood bound after some time passes. I think Roman Reigns is pretty much done after he eventually has to drop the Universal title, because how do you top this? It's over. There's nothing left to watch about. If NXT goes the way it's going, if Dave Meltzer is completely correct on this, if this is all true, why should I watch this? I haven't watched Raw in a long time. I don't watch SmackDown like I used to. I only watch clips, and they're only clips of Roman Reigns because he's the only good thing consistently going on the main shows. Once NXT's done, it's like, why should I watch that then? Triple H isn't running the show. It's going to go back to Vincent Pritchard, or worse, Road Dogg, and we all remember what happened to SmackDown when Ryan Ward did too much of a good job. Why should I care? Why should I continue watching this? Yeah. I don't know what to do on this. Now WWE at best is a media company that uses nostalgia. That has nostalgia content for me to watch and talk about. That's essentially what it is. They don't even think they're a wrestling company. They're not even, and yeah, they could say they're sports entertainment, but wrestling is in your name. Your promotion, your company is a wrestling company. Yeah, you make all this other stuff on the side, but nothing gets more stuff than wrestling. Every documentary that sells well is because they wrestled. Yeah, you can say it's sports entertainment, but it's still sports in there. It's wrestling. Just admit it. If you want to be multimedia, then call yourselves World Media Entertainment. But that would be weird to call it that. Like, it was already hard enough for people to call it WWE instead of WWF. But that's basically what this is. They might as well just call themselves World Media Entertainment. And then they could change the name when, if we ever make it to the stars, they could expand, call themselves Universal Media Entertainment or Galaxy Media Entertainment. Wouldn't that be stylish? But yeah, I have virtually, once NXT TakeOver 36 happens, and if Dave Meltzer, everything he wrote today is indeed correct, then why should I watch this? Why should I continue watching this? I could watch it just for Roman, but is that really a good thing? Like once Roman's done, what's left? Like, I still love WWE. I grew up on it. I wanted to get better, but why should I still watch it if it refuses to get better? If they're so intent on having a contradictory philosophy of, we need to invest in our younger talent, we need to invest in people under 30 so we can build them up, we can make them talented, but the management's still the old guard from two to 3 decades ago. If Vince really cared, he would have quit. Let someone else run the show. So long as it's not Nick Khan or John Laurinaitis or Kevin Dunn. Let Triple H run it. Just give him a month to run with it and see how it turns out. Nah, that's asking too much, isn't it? Yeah. So, yeah. Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Clock's ticking, Triple H. If you have any plans to follow up with this and whatnot, I don't know what he's gonna do. I didn't even talk about him. Like, is he pissed? Is he ready to get the sledgehammer and start smashing people's cars? Is he gonna have the world's awkwardest Thanksgiving dinner with Vince? Is Tony Khan gonna make a promo and call out Nick Khan for being an idiot? I mean, a ruthless one, but still. Why? What's the point? Like, NXT was already doomed after Wednesday night ended, because it's like, well, where do they go from here? They can't go back to their old super indie style because AEW was that. AEW is now that. They can't go back to being 1 hour because USA contract. They can't go back on the Peacock service on the network because Peacock. So, yeah, NXT was going to lose this. NXT was going to be blamed for all this. They were going to get told, you all failed. I didn't fail, damn it. So, yeah. Nothing left. There's literally nothing left for me here. Like, and after what happened with Bray Wyatt, after what happened with all these releases and what's coming out with NXT stuff, I'm at a point now where I have to think, should I even watch SummerSlam for Cena and Roman and Edge and Seth and Bianca and Sasha? Should I even watch TakeOver, watch the end to an era, and get morbidly depressed when the transition begins and Triple H is fully removed? I don't know. We're just gonna have to see. So, yeah, this was Near Reality. The WrestleVerse presents NXT layoffs, WWE releases, and the clock ticking for NXT Doomsday. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Check out my other content. Stay tuned for more. TikTok.